Okay, let's call this finance and legislation meeting to order. Mr. Burnside?
Here.
Mr. Ballack? Here. Mr. Bigley is present. We have 3 pieces, and they are all stuff that we have already went over, that there were minute changes. So first one from the law director. Resolution establishing the fees to be assessed to the owner of real estate when the city requires to cut grass under 521.15 of the city's codified ordinance and declaring an emergency. Speak on, we've already went over this.
Right.
Motion to bring it up.
Second?
Second.
That's Dag with this? Thank you. Burnside?
Yeah.
Don't complain.
Next one.
Okay.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Struthers to enter into a purchase agreement with the Cardinal Joint Fire District to purchase a 2017 Ford F-450 4x4 Type 1 Super Warrior ambulance, repealing ordinance number 25-050 and any ordinance inconsistent herewith and declaring an emergency.
There was an error in it.
Okay.
There was just an error.
All right.
Same, still same.
Same thing.
Motion to bring it up.
Second?
I would find another one.
I had put Cardinal, I put city of Canfield to pay, and it has to actually go to the joint fire
Okay.
district. So
Okay, so
they
next.
would not accept our ordinance, so that's why we're redoing.
This is from the mayor, and this is an ordinance establishing the position, salary, and employment provisions of Assistant Superintendent, Wastewater Plant Department Head, a non-classified service appointed by the mayor, retroactive May 1st, 2025, repealing ordinance number 25-008, and any ordinance inconsistent herewith and declaring an emergency. This is on here, basically we kept it the same and stayed with the 90 days. Which last time they gave us this to bring out, it did not have the 90-day pay, I guess, decrease you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
Motion to bring it out.
Motion to bring it
I'll
up.
second.
That's it for legislation. What's everybody want to talk about? Mr. Patrick? We got
Nothing.
Everybody's,
Kat did call me about the golf carts. Remember when we discussed becoming a golf cart city? I was under the impression that we put forward a resolution on that.
I thought we did too.
I said the same thing. She said she talked to you and you couldn't find one, correct?
No, we did not do anything. I think you guys were discussing.
See, I thought,
But they're already out there.
yeah, so I mean, I'm all for it.
it has to be licensed though.
100%. I mean, it has to.
It has to be road ready.
Yeah, there's a template, I'm assuming through ODOT or through the other.
I know all.
I thought it was
okay.
I got mine all that.
Well then, I mean, as long as we're following the guidelines that the other cities who have became
Yeah.
this,
Yeah,
and
that
we,
mirrors, turn signals, brake lights.
and if we have to add
It has to
something,
go at least 25 miles an hour.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to be following somebody going 10 miles an hour.
I
But-
got the guidelines. I think.
Okay.
A lot, so.
I'm assuming she called me on that. That was the only thing that she had. She was running a few minutes late, so I think that we should look for some legislation that was put forward or an ordinance, another city, or Ricky,
Sure.
if you have one.
I mean,
I believe
had
it.
Let's
these
check it out.
that I
Okay.
had gotten from other cities for you guys.
We
to-
may even want to add something to it. So
Right.
you
Go
know,
over it and add something. To
yeah.
It. Make
So
sure.
we're all in favor of it, correct?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
you can only drive them on 25 mile an hour streets. And that's it.
Sure.
Not in 35 miles.
Sure. Well, I know.
Youngstown Poland Road.
No
Well,
Youngstown
we
Poland Road.
can't drive them to my understanding, on state routes, because even like 616 is, to my understanding, is governed by State Highway
You
Patrol.
can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, because I mean, that's just like up in Geneva. The strip is actually 531. That's a state route.
Okay.
So you're allowed to do that. on the
Cats
strip.
pulling in the parking lot now.
Okay.
So yeah, so that would be considered state route 531. So
Sure.
you'd be able to go
Okay.
on that.
Was there
Well, then-
something from last week that we wanted to discuss? Wasn't there?
Yeah, it had to do with the appointing the person in charge of the housing thing.
I already asked her, she don't know nothing about the news did that.
Is that
Really?
right? They said the Dells told
But
me.
I
didn't they?
understand.
I didn't tell him that.
What are my duties? What do I do?
Yeah, I thought we just passed that to
To my
venture into that.
Yes, to
Yeah.
my understanding, we were passing that
It's for it.
to basically have
To get that going.
to get that going the same way that Columbiana has. Now, I got to be honest. Do we have an opportunity to have the same success as Columbiana? We don't, because we don't have the room to build out, right? Columbiana did that, they could build developments,
Yeah,
they
but
could do
what's
it.
this person supposed to do?
That is something for the mayor.
I already asked her, she's,
She don't know?
Sorry.
Mayor, we're going over, Mike's new duties. President Patrick's new duties.
There is no, the news had a mistake on there.
Okay.
There is nothing, they said president of council is directed to be the housing official. I went through the ordinance, cause I don't remember seeing that anywhere.
Yeah,
However, through the CRA, council has to appoint 2 people to the committee. I appoint 2 people, council appoints 2 people, and the committee itself appoints 2 people.
what does the committee do?
yeah, what are the duties of the committee?
It's spelled out in the ordinance, I have to go over it again, and sit down with John, but Ian Beniston is gonna come in, from YNDC and go
Okay,
with me, so
I think
there are no.
we're all kind of learning as we go with this,
Yes,
I'm assuming.
yes. But I'll tell you what, our phones have been ringing. This is such a good thing. I've got calls from other cities saying they're on the same path, they're going the same way. Niles called, a bunch of other places called that they're hoping to do this too, because not just our county, the Eastgate study, the state, everybody is saying that they need to do the same thing
Sure.
because of the housing crisis we're in.
Well-
Mark Brenner came to one of the seminars that they had at the public library with me, and this was the CRA, and there's a couple of different permitting things which we found out through the EPA we can't do away with, but anything we could do to help encourage people to select Struthers to build their house
Sure.
is gonna put us like a
Well,
step above.
and also, I think I wanna explain this for everybody watching, and most of them may know it, but all of our revenue, at least the hugest portion of it, comes from income tax.
Oh, yeah.
So every time somebody moves out of here, a house is torn down, that's less revenue the city has. That is our revenue stream. That's a fact,
And the businesses.
Correct, well, that's all income tax, so anybody who is able, and over the last so many years, we've torn down, 300-400 homes here. So the city has gotten smaller and now bringing in less revenue. If you can spark people building here, and the property tax didn't really come to us anyway, we only receive about 15% of property tax.
Right.
Lion share goes to school, lion share goes to the county, we get the smallest piece of the pie.
Yeah.
So we're not losing out on anything by giving this incentive, we're only gaining revenue by the houses that are built and now the families that will live and work here and pay income tax. So,
Yeah. One thing that I did mess up on, and I will publicly acknowledge that I messed up on this, was not talking to the school board and the superintendent. I did have a conversation with Pete Crone, and I'm more than willing to go to the school board and explain to them. I wasn't looking at it, and there's been a lot of crazy stuff that's happened in the last couple months, but I wasn't looking at it the way Columbiana and these other places have looked at this CRA, because we're landlocked. So when we're talking about this happening, we're not talking about huge developments and hundreds of homes. We're talking about hopefully a few houses a year.
well, but I think,
If not more.
I think if we're,
It's not gonna be a huge hit to our school system. It'll only help in the long run, because if we don't put ourselves out and make ourselves unique from the other school districts, we're not gonna get the help.
well, the other thing too is that I will say is we're challenged with a lot of the homes that were torn down, were built on lots. Now the codes have changed and they can't rebuild them. So we need to take a look at those and see how creatively we can get to help push people to build and for us to have more land here to build.
100%. So that's basically step 2 in this good project that we want to see, working with YNDC and Investment and Eastgate and the entire county. The second thing that they're recommending is changing our zoning, and that's for everybody.
But I
Our
think
zoning is so outdated.
We've been recommending that
We
safety versus, you know, where they have been prior to us.
100%.
But, so we gotta figure out what Mike's job is.
Yeah, give me my duties.
Now council can appoint him,
Right,
Or
and
that's
somebody
some-
else,
yeah.
right.
yeah,
Are you, would you be interested in that?
Sure,
Okay.
whatever.
but that, once we get to that place.
Point.
Yeah.
Sure.
I apologize for being late, I did get the.
Don't let it happen again.
Roddy came back and printed these for me. The Ohio Department of Public Safety has their own inspection of underspeed vehicle, utility vehicles, or mini trucks. This is what Chief Roddy, I don't know if I brought this to council last time, but if you guys wanna take a look at this is what we want to put in our ordinances and see what you think.
Are those all different or those are all the same?
These are all the same. And then this is what he does,
Share it with you.
this is the,
Inspection form.
yes, that's the
Oh,
inspection
okay.
form. So that's, I believe, what we're already doing. He kind of has his own checklist, and he has had a few, but there are a lot that are not, that have not come in that checklist. So that's one thing that, with the newsletter that we're doing, we would like to put this in the next, if possible, we would like to put this in the next newsletter so that people are aware that if they do have these, they just have to stop, make an appointment, and just get it checked out, so that
All of these seem like they should be in anybody's ordinances, I would assume, whoever. I don't see anything here that's out of the ordinary to drive anything on the road, you know what I mean?
So this would be good for the golf carts as well?
Yeah. That's, I think, what this is geared towards.
Yeah.
All seems reasonable.
Yeah,
Hold on.
that's one fear that I have. I just wanted to make sure people without a driver's license cannot be out
Yeah,
there. I don't want a
yeah,
12-year-old,
you have to have a driver's
you know what I mean?
Also,
Just for safety
you
reasons.
must have seatbelts too.
Is that on there?
Mhm.
Or is that on this one?
Might be on that one.
No, it's not on this one.
You have to add seatbelts.
To this. May I?
Yeah.
Can I still leave it in there? On all,
Depending on if it's a 2-seater, 4-seater,
So as many
or
seats-
6-seater, as many seats, you have to have that many.
But Ohio's not requiring that, correct?
Yeah. They're not?
No.
this is.
This
the
is,
Department of
that's what
Public
I'm
Safety.
saying. This is,
You guys can, and we can if that's, I mean, that's a dis-
90% of
Being an open
golf
vehicle
carts
would probably
aren't
be a
gonna
good
have
idea.
seatbelts.
Especially if
Mine
you're gonna
does.
be on the street.
A lot don't.
And they required them, I know, up in Jefferson
Amen.
to have them. It's a
Probably is a bad
vehicle.
thing to have, yeah, because
It's a-
we're
it's-
going
it's a
25 miles
vehicle.
per hour.
Scooter.
Why wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's a licensed vehicle,
Can it be on the
That
street
is,
like that?
that is a
you know?
really weird situation.
I
What
would.
was it, Elway that his partner fell off the golf cart and died?
I don't know.
Yes.
Elway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We call it jetpack.
John Elway?
Jetpack.
yeah, he was driving the golf cart. His longtime friend and partner fell off and died.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
To be honest, done a
But
lot of
I would
things in golf
obviously have
carts.
to come up with a piece of, like, even if it's just a resolution, just we have
Yeah.
something saying that council's okay with this checklist and that everybody, so we can publish it in the newsletter and say, hey, listen, gotta do this. So kind of
So
draw,
we're gonna add seatbelts to it?
if that's.
I think you need
I
to
think
get
it's
up.
required, I do think it's required.
Well, it's not required on what's in front of us. This says by
Well,
the state.
I believe under state law that seatbelts would be required on golf carts if they're being driven on the street.
Makes sense.
I got a form too.
Yeah.
When's this from? This is from 23, so it might change.
Might have changed.
I got some forms with a lot too, so.
I was gonna say, cause I've been looking at golf carts and I would honestly say even higher end ones, like 90% of them don't have seatbelts.
We could call Mark Sherrill,
Okay.
cause he sells them.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with it. I
And he
just,
and he
haven't-
makes them street legal.
okay, I haven't seen many, I guess, from looking
Right.
that had them. That's the only
And
reason.
I don't know who it is, but I know they come up and down my street and there's little kids on the back.
Okay.
I don't know who's it, Voice, is that who it is?
They're all over. But I believe they have seatbelt, I know
Right,
Grace have seatbelts.
that's good, I'm glad they do. But, anywho,
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Is there, and I haven't seen that, is there anything on there about kids under a certain
Yeah, you gotta have a driver's license. You're
weight,
saying-
no, even being passengers, like, I believe there's a weight limit where they have to be in car seats if they're under 40 pounds or something like that in a golf cart. I'd have to look into that too.
Yeah, I mean, when you're driving it on the road,
Absolutely, yeah.
you know, it only makes sense.
But I don't know, 40 pounds is,
Pretty little.
that's pretty, I thought it was
Yeah,
pretty big.
Pretty big.
He's thinking his
40
daughter.
pounds?
My kid was still in like
40
middle
pounds, I
school.
think.
40 pounds, you're like 4 years old.
40 pounds.
Dallas was
Maybe.
2 and he was 4.
Yeah, I was born at 40 pounds, what do you
Noah,
mean?
John, do you wanna look this over before we do anything?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, we're not doing anything today, but I'm just saying.
He's got that.
Cause we
Yeah,
talked,
yeah.
I was talking to Megan about, and we talked about it a bunch of times, and I know everybody was in favor of doing it, but I don't think, and I probably was on my end, I dropped the ball, but we need to, I'd like to get something on it.
Sure. Anything from you?
When's the grant money coming in for them streets you said for like Lincoln and Elmwood?
Well,
Or, I
so,
mean-
we just got an email, we're trying to do the paving, they're gonna be going out to bid here soon. We wanna try to get the paving done in the first 2 weeks of August. I think because we have the loan for Bobsine Way, I think it's available differently. So whereas before we would have to wait till that money came in through OPWC, but I think they're releasing it early. However, that would require a resolution from council to accept the bid, which means we would have to hold a special meeting, probably in July. And it would be a quick meeting, it would be for a reason, so if that's okay with you guys, as long as everything matches up with the contractor selecting and the money coming in, we would like to do it the first 2 weeks of August. So that way it's done before school starts,
Yeah.
and we don't have to worry about it, cause Lincoln, Creed, those are right by the schools. So we'd
Yeah.
rather not have the buses.
Mayor, I've mentioned it before, but when they do Bobsine Way, can they keep in mind of the truck traffic that travels that road, so it's, when they pave it, they keep that in mind, it's, the trucks
mean to handle the weight?
can handle the weight, right?
Yeah, I think we're doing normal resurfacing. There is a part that we added on as an alternate part of the bid. I think it came to 157,000. That where they turn, let me see. So there's a little curve, and the fields are here. This is Astor Shapes here. This is where all the trucks park right here, and the bridge is here. I'm drawing this wrong, but where they turn out here and turn in here. From here to here, they're trying to see what we would need to do to put concrete aprons here and here.
You're saying like berms?
Yeah, so that it doesn't tear up the road as quickly, but they listed it on the bid as an alternate. So we're gonna see
Just
what it,
as long as they keep in mind of the weight that travels that road, and they don't get torn up in a year.
No, I
No,
brought
and
that
it's-
up before, and me and Bob obviously don't see it in the same regard.
Okay,
They have a product that they put into asphalt that basically makes it last longer, like almost
fine,
rubberizes
just
it.
keep that in mind.
And that is, we used to get that a long time ago in our roads. We do not get it anymore. We should look into that. It does help.
well, that's something I need to talk to them about. 'Cause
And I don't know the
that's gonna make
cost, I couldn't
cost
tell
go
you
up.
that, correct, but I'm telling you, on a street like that, we're paying to get it repaved.
Do it
If
right.
it's a 10% extra cost and it's gonna last us a little bit longer,
Absolutely.
it's worth it, it really
Right,
is.
If we have
absolutely.
the money for it.
I agree,
That's-
I agree.
If it means, I hate to say it, maybe I'll put my foot in my mouth, even if it means to take a street off this list to get that done right, so it can handle the truck traffic.
Well, no, cause it's being paid out differently. That's
It's a
the
loan,
loan, and this is the street
Right.
resurfacing
But
levy.
just as long as we don't pave Bobsine Way, next year it starts cracking and breaking apart, our
Yeah.
money's down the tubes.
And I gotta be honest, while we're on the subject,
Again,
only one more time tonight. We really, in the future, need to look at the crack sealing program again.
Yeah, I think we did
I've-
have a talk.
I did, and I made a contact with Sealmaster, And I spoke with them and they were able to give me some numbers on what things would cost, and the cost isn't that much. I have it all broken down at home. They even say that they rent, if you purchase a pallet of crack fill from them, I don't have it in front of me, it goes X amount of feet. They rent you, for as long as you need it, the machine that puts it down. And the cost of the product is only about 85 cents a foot. That is very, very, very cheap. We had $20,000 to spend. He broke all of it down for me and basically said, if you were gonna spend that same 20,000, he said that over the lifespan of the road,
Gotta help.
no, it's like, for every 5,000 you spend, you get 50,000 back on the lifespan of the road.
That's
But
what I'm
he
saying,
claimed
it's
that
gotta help.
it has to be done on roads that were paved,
last 3
like,
years.
yeah, 2 to 4 years ago. Just keep it in that. If you're traveling outside of that, you're kind of wasting your money. If you're doing it on roads that were paved 8 years ago, you're wasting your money. But on those roads that were paved 1, 2, 3 years ago, he said over the life of the road that every 5,000 you spend will save you 50,000 in resurfacing. So I feel like that's something. I have a breakdown of it at home. If next time I know we're going to discuss it, I'll bring it
Okay,
in.
but I don't know that it's in the budget for this year.
No.
But
I
we
mean, that's
can look
fine, but
at putting
I
it in the
think
budget.
like that's something we need to talk about,
Yeah.
and then in the future make room for it.
Okay.
You know, we spend so much every year through the levy for road resurfacing.
Yeah.
We
I
could get
think,
that to go a lot farther.
I
You
think
know
in
what
the
I mean?
past, we used to have about 20,000.
20,000 is what we used to spend. Yeah,
I
but-
just don't know that it was done.
I don't think that it was done in the right manner. I
don't
gotta
think
be
so
honest. And when I spoke with,
I think they're making designs more than anything.
and when I spoke with them, they basically, and the guy from Sealmaster said, like, listen, if you need me to come into a council meeting, if you need me to come to a meeting, I can explain everything to you. We have breakdowns. I mean, he was very, very knowledgeable. So if you'd like me to try to bring him in, I'm sure I can. But I think it's something in future years we need to get back into.
I
Yep,
agree too.
I agree 100% with that, cause
That'd
that
go-
saves your roads.
That'd go 4.5 miles, $20,000 would go about 4.5 miles of cracks.
I'm trying to remember. He gave me exact breakdowns of how far a pallet will go under normal conditions on roads that were paved 2 to 4 years ago. I mean, he really had it all.
Yeah.
I'll have to bring it in for everybody.
You said if we bought the pallet, we would get the machine rent free, or
Correct. So if we buy a pallet, the pallet broke down to about 85 cents per foot for the material. The pallet did, offhand, I want to say the pallet's around $2,000.
And this would be something our street department
They
would.
could, if
Okay,
they're,
if we're gonna put this on our street department during that
Well-
first grass cutting, when we're cleaning the streets.
to me, it's
and
more
when
important to
we're
do it
potholing.
for the winter, but prior to winter, but more than prior to summer. You know, the winter is
In the
when
fall.
water is gonna freeze and thaw in those cracks.
Right.
Now, again, this is a suggestion. If it's something our street department can't handle, it's not a problem, because the number that I got from them was $2 a square foot, or a
To put it
foot,
down.
for somebody else just to come in, okay? So $2 a square foot, that's still getting us 10,000 feet done from a company,
It's just a
you know what I mean?
discussion I would wanna have with them before. so
I agree,
now
I
they're in
agree.
charge of this.
No,
That's
I
all.
again, I wasn't saying that to put that on them. That is an option if there was time involved and, you know, maybe they get some overtime out of it if they had that. If not, it's $2 a square foot, he said, is a rough cost for somebody to come and do it. And we know when we were doing it 8 years ago, it was around $1. So it has doubled, but that was quite a while ago. And break it down that we were doing the wrong streets. We were doing streets that were 10 years old,
Right.
12 years old. We essentially were using triple on these streets. We should be able to do, if we did 6 or 8 streets before, we should be able to do triple that for the same amount. You know what I mean? We literally, the whole road was made out of patch by the time
Obviously,
they
they
were done.
know what
Now,
knowledge
we
was
want
there.
roads that got a handful of cracks that, you know, you could walk
Right.
down, and we're only wasting a couple hundred feet on each street.
Right.
So, again, I think it's something we should look into for the future.
Agreed.
Yep.
What else we got good?
Phoenix Festival coming up. If you guys have any donations from the Chinese auction,
Okay.
you can drop them off.
Where are we dropping them to? You?
Yeah, you can drop them off.
Okay.
We have the Rotors gonna be running the Chinese auction. We are aiding in some of the volunteer work. So we have the Rotary's gonna man that all 4 days, the cheerleaders we have on the face paint, so we're not running the parade, we're just helping get volunteers, cause that's where they're they need the help.
Okay.
We have a $800,000 grant pending for this sewage treatment plant.
Oh yeah,
How's the grants, if we ended up selling it, do we have to give the grants back, or?
I don't know. I don't
And-
believe so, it would depend on when the work and what equipment and when that would fall under.
And they had a meeting with Senator Marino for the application of
Yep.
Struthers Water Pollution Control Facility? Is that
Yes.
our storm water treatment plant, or?
That's still the wastewater, that's still
Wastewater,
yeah.
okay.
So those applications, I believe some of them are for equipment, because we've been submitting a lot. I think Moreno's on there, Ruli's on there.
Mhm.
There's been a lot, and there's been a lot of go back and forth between Moreno, which we're actually excited about, because they've been drilling us with a lot of questions. But I believe a few of those, if not one of them, is to get the utilities run to the 28 acres, which will also help with one of the overflows that we have down there, off of Hawthorne that runs down. So it would kill a couple birds with one stone.
Now, all these, this grant report, it says appropriations with Ruley for 800,000.
Yep, those are
It's
straight.
it's not 800,000, it's just 800,000, each one is gonna apply for,
Can I see it?
I just,
I believe it's the
cause
same
March was
thing.
for, okay, it's the same
It's
grant.
the same
Okay.
thing, but we need them all to pass it through their committee and
Okay.
through their level. So we need them all on board, basically.
Okay.
So, or we need somebody to basically take it and run with it and say, this is staying in the bill, this is staying in the appropriations. So we're sending it everywhere.
Okay,
But we have got a lot of response from Moreno.
and a lot of these are still pending.
Yep, Nebo Park, we're still applying, we did get one no from a Nebo Park grant. We're gonna be working on the construction of the splash pad. That will be complete by the end of this year, but we're not going to open it or ribbon cut until spring, it'll be open for Memorial Day next year. We have some donations coming from that too, and then we're working with, we're in the beginning discussions with the traffic garden with the school and putting it on the northern part of the parking lot at Manor. So I have to get everything together so I can give it to Superintendent Perone so he can present it to the board to see if we can do it on the lot that's already there. That way we don't waste the money on putting another concrete pad in the middle. So that's gonna be coming this year too. So, not on here, but that's part of this.
Any update on our signs?
Yes, but I can talk to you about it after,
Okay,
'cause I don't wanna,
Yeah.
use any inappropriate language right now. But yes, we're not using those.
Oh.
No,
good.
Is Bob back at work? Is he coming back
no,
at work?
he's still using sick time.
Okay.
Yeah, and until he gets a release from the doctor,
We'll be back.
but he has the sick time now. So, but we have everything covered. Anthony Larisha has been, appointed temporarily, and he's been making a couple different visits with me when I need that there. But between Bill and Taylor, they've been doing a lot for the office.
Street department's doing a good job too,
Always.
patching and this and that, and now they're cutting all this grass. And
Always,
they're doing a great job.
always do.
Yep,
And downtown is looking very nice.
It is.
If anybody
Yeah.
has
Got some
walked,
paint.
Yeah.
I
Good
took,
to
well,
see.
we
Some
took a
Stuff is
walk,
happening.
we took
Yeah.
a
Good to
walk
see.
last night and very nice to see what's going on inside those buildings, outside the buildings. And the bridge looks very nice. We walked.
That,
We walked
so
down to the
update on
bridge.
that too, that we will be opening next week. I have a meeting on Friday I'm going on vacation, so I'm not gonna be here Saturday, but we're not gonna hold the bridge opening until I get back, obviously. But we're gonna have the bridge open and then we're gonna do some kind of press release, with Mergy Gap and with EDG.
When do you
with
think
council.
that'll happen?
Next week. I don't wanna tell you exact date until I talk to them on Friday, cause we have a meeting Friday.
Next Friday or this Friday?
This Friday, so in a couple days. So I don't wanna tell you and then it get mixed up and then everybody yelling and screaming, but it will be open next week. I'll send a, text message through, we'll put it on social media so that everybody knows that it's open. But it's looking really nice.
Yeah, it's a
And
nice,
downtown's
nice
coming,
looking,
it's still slow, but it's,
at least there's progress.
Yeah. At least they painted the buildings in that down there, they look good, painted.
Yeah, that one just, with the underlayment siding on it now looks
Yeah.
Makes a
night
big
and day
difference.
difference, you know what I mean? So,
Is he still gotta cut the windows out?
I don't know
'Cause
his
he covered all
plans
the
for that,
windows.
I did see that, but they were covered from the inside too, the last
Yeah.
times I drove by, so I really don't know.
Huh, I was just wondering.
Anybody, anything for this committee? Motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn.
second,
Second.
meeting adjourned.
Okay.
But right now,
She
she's
is
at
in
gymnastics with my
Oh,
daughter,
good,
so
good,
we'll see her in an hour.
The table was good
I'll see her
too,
probably
so-
8:30.
The table
You got it.
great
Go
on that
back to the
thing she's
museum.
using as
I
an
don't know
island in her
paperwork.
kitchen.
Oh, that little bucket.
Yeah.
I have,
And
I had,
it was perfect
Well,
for you.
I've had that thing, you know, that thing's been to California, it's been
Really?
to Johnstown. Yeah,
Okay.
that was in the military with me. My first home.
I'll be done.
Yeah,
Kat, are you golfing
I won't be
tomorrow?
here next week.
okay.
Kat, are you
Don't have a
golfing
home
tomorrow?
for that other piece yet.
Oh,
I
the
can't,
little
I
hedge
have too
thing.
much
Yeah.
to do, I'm supposed to golf, but I can't, there's no way I'm gonna get everything done.
I got roped into it. DJ, you told me months ago you would.
I
What's
know.
that?
I'm like, listen,
Good luck, right?
What are you in a scramble?
yeah, and I don't have to